Hello, I'm Dudley Thompson, and welcome again to WDT Media TV. We're here at the stadium for the matchup between Jamaica and Surinam. Second encounter, the first game ended 1-1 in Surinam. The corner kick to Jamaica. Comes across. Let's now go to the post-game press conference.
That's part of the show. Understand. Congrats, Coach Hall. A well-earned victory, 3-1. Take us through the game. At times it looked tough, but we ended up with a 3-1 victory.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough pitch out there, and it was very at times a controlled performance from the guys. They went in search of a win, which was all credit to them. And it was a game where we thought that the only way how Surinam was going to beat us, because they're very good at playing with the ball, they've got good possession. We felt the only way they were going to beat the ball was that one ball through that was going to beat our back line. And that's what happened. So that was a little bit displeasing. However, the boys come back. You've got Ravel, who's got a little bit of stardust in every training session, in every game, and scored a goal that could win any game of football. And I'm just glad that the boys were ruthless in front of goal today.
All right, so we'll go. All right, go ahead.
Coach, what was the difference between the first game and this game? Tonight I saw, for example, that Suriname had the first two best chances and they didn't score. And after that, after the free kick, Jamaica went 1-0, but the people didn't. What was the difference?
Well, it was almost the same as last week, wasn't it? I mean, Suriname had a couple of good chances where our keeper saved us, and then we went up the other area, airplane mode. We put it up the other end of the pitch and scored and led the game 1-0, and that's what happened tonight. I think the difference was we had those players who could control the game, who could dominate the midfield and not be dominated, and give as much as they could get. Not to say that the players the other day didn't do it, but I think that was the difference. We had strong, experienced players who came back in, and I was happy for that to happen.
Coach Orin Buchanan from Jamaica Gleaner. It's public knowledge what took place in Suriname. Just talk to me, how difficult was it to get back the guys in the mind shape for today's game?
If I'm being honest with you, it wasn't that difficult, because they're a resilient group, and it's probably the most resilient I've seen a group represent Jamaica for a long time. And what happened was that they all decided to come together, and it showed on the pitch, and it will show against Mexico. And there's a belief that these guys can put in a performance against Mexico, and that's all I've ever wanted, with the boys to show belief and give the Jamaican public something to really shout about and really believe in. So it wasn't that difficult, if I'm being brutally honest. It was those boys, as long as they came together. We did a training session this morning, or we loosened up, and it was just the boys were really together. So I'm happy.
All right, good.
All right, Garfield Jones, Nationwide. Is there any specific aspect of the team that you're overly concerned about? Looking from the stands, we saw coming down the right channel, and Suriname exploited that a lot.
Yeah.
Is there any particular aspect of the team that you're concerned about?
Well, yeah, I've got to work on that side. You know, just as a coach, I've got to identify and work on that side. Somebody come to me and said there was 92.3 of the goals came down from crosses, and I just wrote it on the wall in the changing room. And we did well to stop crosses, and we really have to address that, because when crosses come in, we're usually good in those areas. But I think probably there's a little bit of panic. We brought players in who could challenge for those squares and those balls inside the box. So yeah, it's concerning. It is an area that Mexico can exploit as well. So rest assured there won't be any rest for the players who play in those areas. But down the other side, I thought Amari Bell come in and did a great job stopping crosses and getting forward as well. So improvements were made, but it needs to be really addressed. Right, man.
Coach, just a follow-up question. So Daniel Johnson in the stands spoke to him, he said he wasn't injured. Can you just talk on his omission in today's game?
Well, it wasn't an omission. You know, I mean, like I said, I've got a twofold job, and what I want to do is bring some, succession plan. And with the first 16 players, I put pressure on those players to win games of football. And those 16 are of high quality, of which Daniel Johnson would be one of those 16. So you can only fit 16 into that number before I start bringing in the Zimenezes and the Chungs and those other ones who I need to really get experience quickly. So I want to build a strong squad, but I want to really pack that 16 with experience. And Daniel Johnson's, I've spoken to him, we're still definitely interested in what he wants to do for us. And he's still very much part of what we do. But you saw tonight, there are players all over the place that are desperate to get in that 16. I just want to make the competition for places really, really, so that we do achieve this time.
Roger.
Roger Hassel, your Irish coach. In terms of what you are working with the squad, you have this squad now quite a few games. Are you beginning to see any deliverables as to what you would have in your mind in terms of this side moving forward? Are you seeing any deliverables as yet, or we still need more time?
Yeah, we need more time. I still want them to move the ball quicker. I want them to move the ball quicker. It's a little bit lazy at times. I want them to really move the ball quicker, really move the opposition, and get to the speed of what Mexico and Canada and the US move the ball, both in transition and in moving the ball. But that takes time. It takes time for those guys, the new ones coming in, because there's always new ones coming in. And I just really want to get them to really pass the ball quicker. So that's one of the deliverables that I think we need to improve on. But again, there are different ones there. Boys being resilient, that's a deliverable that probably this time, a few months ago, we would have lost the game out there. So, yeah, there are many deliverables that the boys are starting to bring, but it is time.
Anybody else?
Yes, Sultan Pure Sports. The past couple of days, there has been a lot of talking about chaos inside the Jamaican Football Federation. Players weren't happy about stuff. Even you would have resigned, or you would have left the squad. Was this maybe part of a mind game towards this game? And if not,
That's a hell of a mind game.
just asking. But if not, in case that is not the situation, have the problems been solved a little?
Well, what I would say is, I don't think you can play mind games like that, because I think you're playing with fire. And I wish I could all the time. I want to get results like that. But it's like I say, it's a slow process, right? It's a slow process, and if what you saw out there was a result of the players being together and really wanting to show the public that they are together, committed, and I'm committed with them. And I think that they really performed tonight. Could have performed better, but when the pressure was on, they delivered. So, like you say, sometimes Jamaica is chaos. We sometimes operate really well in chaos.
Yeah.
But again, it's just one of those things where we didn't want it to be like that. But the guys went out there and they answered that question.
Daniel Wheeler.
Daniel Wheeler, Venus Sports. Just can you talk to me about the updated status of Andre Blake and cleared for the Mexico game, and what's the status on his injury? And also the second question that I have, you saw that mostly attack recently went through Ravel Morrison, and he had a brilliant game today. Is it obvious that going forward, he will be, how critical will he be to the future of the team, attacking wise, especially in your tenure as coach?
So obviously Andre wasn't available for us, so I just hope he gave me a text today. I hope he's available for the next game, but we can only wait and see. It's very early days. I wouldn't like to speculate on a time schedule, but we just hope that he can come back and make us stronger and then vie for that place. But I really do feel that Amal Knight has done a great job in his absence in a difficult time. He stepped in and he's got some valuable experience. When you've got Ravel Morrison on your team, you've got a world-class player. And those boys understand that they have to work hard for that world-class player. When that world-class player is playing well and working hard at the same time, he's the best player in CONCACAF. Absolute best player, hands down. He can do unbelievable things with the ball. So, yes, it is really key that we've got a Ravel Morrison in the team. And there are other world-class players around the team. Ravel is very, very different in what he does. He does the unexpected free kicking. And I just knew, I said, he's got this, it's in the net, because he does it in training every single day. So I'm glad to have him, because I wouldn't want him to be playing against me. You know, so we're happy with that.
Well, what was the nature of Blake's injury?
He was just unable to play.
Yes, coach. What was the thinking behind the introduction of Bailey for King, considering you were 2-1 up at the time?
For King?
Yes.
Yeah, so we've got, we wanted to keep the players on the pitch. So we wanted to move Lambert back into the centre-half position and put Bailey onto the pitch, because we needed to get some onus back into the game, and we figured that putting on a world-class player would have helped us do that. So it just gave us something to look at Lambert as well in that position. We could have used other players, but we had a little bit of a chat and made sure that we said, nah, let's keep Lambert on the pitch and make sure that we just get Chippy on the pitch as well. So it was about getting Chippy on the pitch as quickly as possible.
Earlier you spoke about getting the likes of the Ziminese and the Okasa Chungs in as quickly as possible. You want to elaborate on that?
Right, so part of a strategy, which the number will change a little bit, but the 16 I put pressure to win games. Okay, the 7 are under pressure to learn quickly. So that 7, I really want Jamaican players to believe that they can be called up into the squad and really develop next to a Ravel Morrison, next to a Leon Bailey. All these players that we've got who are established professional players. It's the way how I want to make them grow. So Ziminese can come in. Yes, we can call on Ziminese. I'm not afraid to use them, but I want them to get the habits of these professional players and learn how to do it properly, learn how to practice purposely, and really be beside them. It's a real blessing to be beside some top players. So I can call these players. I saw some players in the Premier League yesterday who you'd want to really develop and bring them through. Because unless they're going to do it, then they don't really get a chance to get to the national team. They're not going to do it. So it's under them to get into that 16, and it's for a lot of other players in Jamaican leagues and local players in Bygraves to get into the 7. Bygraves is a bad example, but other players to get into the 7. Mm-hmm. That's important to me.
Mm-hmm. And then just a quick one. We all know the public knowledge of everything that has happened, and it's quite public. Are you willing to say that you as a team are relieved now going forward? Yeah, is a heavy load off your shoulders?
What I will say is that the boys are together, very, very, very together, and they are. You can see that tonight, and I think they had a freer performance than they have been having. Now, if that's a combination of what's happened over the last few days, fine. But I just want the players to play free and play like they enjoy it, and play like they love in the game. And if it's one thing over the last period, is they didn't look like they were enjoying the game. So I think I just want to concentrate on that and make them, help them to enjoy the game, because you get better players when they've got smiles on their faces.
One more.
Last. In terms of your visibility of the Jamaica Premier League, I want to know how much of the games do you see, or do you have persons watching the game and giving you feedback? There's an outstanding youngster that I'm a big fan of, and I'm sure there are couples.
Yeah.
His name is Cephas from
Yeah.
Wonderful young player.
Yes.
Do you get to see enough of those people, and do they get a chance?
I've actually had Cephas in the camera, and he's very, very unlucky not to have been called up. And it's only because that number of 7 is only 7, because he would have been called up, because I did have him, and I did want to take him to Peru, which was my first game. So I've had him in the under 20s and the under 23 local group, and he's a fantastic footballer. There's lots of other players who are good, but I've got the Sportsmax app. I watch it as much as I can every weekend from England when I'm there. And when I'm here, I'll always be at the games watching the players. And I've got my little black book writing these names down. And if anybody shows a sparkle that I believe that I can make better, then why wouldn't I invite them in? You know, just to make that person better, because it gets them to believe. It gets them, I want to play a certain brand of football. And I want to give them back to their football clubs with a little bit of advice for their coach. This is how we get this person a pathway, to provide a pathway. And he's one of the players who definitely are going to target, because he's really good.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks to everybody. See you next week.
I'm Dudley Thompson for Roots of Ed News and also WDT Media TV. Thanks again for watching from Jamaica's National Stadium. Final score, Jamaica 3, Surinam 1.